Hey kids, in case you missed the last video, I'll catch you up real quick. This is the engine out of a CRAFTSMAN 10 horsepower generator that I bought. It had a seized engine in it. In the previous video, we tore the engine down to see what was wrong with it. And we did a few tests to show that the power head was good. And now we're going to run some tests on these journals and the cylinder bore to see if it's worth fixing. I had this crankshaft soaking in evaporust, and I can see that it has aluminum transfer and the bearing is damaged. There's a few scratches here in the cylinder, but I think everything is fixable. We'll have to order a new piston and rings. Once I hone this cylinder out, check to see if it's in spec, then we'll continue on. Let's see if we can hone those scratches out. I ran that hone for about 40 seconds. I can no longer feel any of the scratches, but I can still see them. And I don't really see any cross hatching, which I was hoping to see. But you can see those scratches right there. Well, I might give it a little bit more. I'm going to try to run a tap through that. I'm not too worried about that. I don't know how much they're worth, but it can't be that much. I'm more worried about the threads on this, so we'll give this a try. Getting that on there straight is going to be a miracle. It's making threads, but who knows? I think that might have worked. So we'll try to fix those threads, and if not, we'll just buy a new one. We have some aluminum transfer here. I can feel it with my fingernail. We're going to put muriatic acid on it for 10 minutes and then try to sand it down. All right, that's been in there for 10 minutes. I don't like the smell of that stuff, so I have the garage door opened. And a little bit of baking soda will stop the chemical reaction. Now we'll take it over and use a little sandpaper to see if we can shine that up. I'll start out with 800 grit, a little WD on it. Now I can't even feel those, what I thought were scratches, but it's going to turn out that it was just aluminum. That's great. I'll move up to 1,000. I'm going to move up to 2,000. I also have some metal polish, but I'm not going to put it on right now, and this isn't the final job. I'm going to take this over and have pizza at Rick's tonight and get him to look at this and see what he thinks. And we'll come back again tomorrow and decide if it's a go or no go. I need to get a few things cleaned up before we can start reassembly. And I think we can make this look a little bit better. Spray a little WD-40 on a Scotch-Brite pad. I'll work away at that and bring you back. Forgot to turn the camera on here. I'm going to take these valves out. It's all right. I should be able to clean those up. I'm just going to run this valve in the drill, see if it'll clean up. I think that's perfect. Alrighty, we have a few things left to clean up. I'll continue on with this cleanup, and then we need to lap these valves in. And that will be one more step done. I probably don't have enough room here to show this very well. I put my micrometer in a vise here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here and I'm going to rock it back and forth, and when I get the lowest number on my dial indicator, I'm going to move the dial indicator around to get 0. So again, I'm going to place this in here very carefully, rotate it back and forth to get the smallest number up on this dial indicator, and I'm going to set 0. So this will be set to 3.12 exactly. And I'm looking for my lowest number before it changes direction. And then I'm moving the dial around so I can get that zeroed out. So now we'll go over and we will look at the cylinder numbers. Okay, we have our dial bore gauge zeroed out to 3.12. We're going to check our cylinder from about a ½ inch down the middle and towards the bottom. So we're going to put this in here and we're going to rock it back and forth. And when the needle gets to the lowest number and starts coming back up the other way, you know that this is perpendicular to the cylinder, which is your true reading. So there is 1.5 thousandths. We'll go a little bit deeper. Just over 1 thousandths. Each one of those ticks is ½ a tenth, and if it's to the left of 0, it's actually bigger than 3.12, and if it's to the right of 0, it's smaller. And this cylinder is 3.199 to 3.12, depending on who you believe. It's plus or minus 2 or 3 thousandths. So far we're in that range, so I think we're good. That's just over 1 thousandths. And then we want to turn this 90 degrees. And that's just almost 0. That's almost 0. And that's almost 0. So again, that's not a high precision tool, but it just shows us approximately where we're at. It's a comparative tool where we set this to 3.12, and then we compare the shots in the cylinder, and then we compare that with the cylinder to see how far out it is. I also used the micrometer to take readings on these 3 journals. I can't remember what the values were now, but they were, all 3 were in spec. So I think we're good to finish cleaning this up and start putting it back together. I bought a few of these plastic razor blades. See if that'll help. and some Scotch-Brite. It has a wicked nick in it right there. Okay, I'll work away at that last little bit. I'm continuing my cleanup of these parts, and this came out half decent. I used some WD and some Scotch-Brite, and that didn't really take everything off, so I had some old dirty evapo-rust left over, and I threw it in there for a day, and that came out fairly well. And I like to just run these across some sandpaper. Now this is just a rough look to see if I see anything major wrong, and I don't. But I'll just run it along the sandpaper, and I've read that the gasket doesn't like a mirror finish, so this is 180. I put a little WD down, and this is a piece of granite. Now the experts say you're supposed to run it in a figure-8 pattern, but I don't really have a big enough piece of sandpaper to do that. So I mean, I have to do what I have to do here. This isn't high precision machining. Another technique I use is sometimes I'll just spray a little paint on here so I can see what comes off. I have a little bit more right there. There's a gouge in it right there. That won't be coming out. I don't think that will affect where the gasket's going to lay. You can flip your granite over and take a feeler gauge and try to get under every spot to see if it's flat that way as well. But for what we're building here, I think we're good. I'll give those a proper cleaning, and we'll carry on with the next piece. Here's my certificate for the inspection of my piece of granite. The gasket's pretty heavy on this piece. You can see I took as much off with my finger as I could. I tried to use my plastic razor blades, but it wasn't doing the trick. So I'm using a bit of WD-40, soften it up, and I'm going very carefully with a razor blade and some Scotch-Brite. So I'll take an hour and try to get this off as careful as I can without scratching that aluminum. That's very soft, so you have to be very careful. Sometimes you wonder, how long do you spend at this stuff? And sometimes it's just when your sandpaper Scotch-Brite runs out. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Couple nicks in it, but hopefully the gasket takes it up. It's kind of like trim in your house when you're doing woodwork. It hides all the imperfections. The next thing I want to do is chase these threads. I know I like to just clean them up, run these through real quick, and there was these ones here. No, not those ones. There were some that had thread locker on them. Oh yeah. The 4 bolts that held the bell housing on had thread locker on them, so I need to clean those up. Just going to lap these valves in. Quick little mark. You can see a nice band on that one. All right, that looks good. These go to 100 inch-pounds. For the piston, the arrow goes to the magneto side. Do not forget that. Found my feeler gauges, and I think Briggs says that the ring gap can be anywhere from 11 till 30. 11 to 30 thousandths. There's 18. So that's 18 thousandths. There's 17. We'll put it in towards the bottom. 16, so we're good. I'll check the other rings and bring it back. The number one ring doesn't have any clearance. I just have this cheap ring filer. Of course, it didn't come with any instructions, but I think you're supposed to put it here. But if you crank this way, it's going to move the burr to the outside of the ring. So I'm going to move it over here and rotate it towards the inside of the ring. And then if I feel any burrs on it, I'll file it. I don't want to take too much off. So I just do 10 turns at a time. That is 12 thousandths. And that little bit there gave me 12 thousandths right there. And I have a little bit of a taper. I can barely get that 12 thousandths in, so I'm going to take a little bit more off here. It doesn't even travel in a straight line, but like I said, it's just a cheap one. I don't do this for a living, so I would buy a more expensive one if I did, obviously. All right, that's good. Yep, happy with that. So we got this arrow. And that points to the mag side. Oh, I can't remember which one of these is the new one and which one's the old one. Oh, got it. It broke my thumb, but I got it. Whew. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. See, my thumb's getting blacker and blacker. And they say the gap's supposed to be either up or straight down, so this one's going to be up. Yeah, okay, we're good with that. Now the oil control ring has a ring expander and then two thin rings on one thin ring on either side of it. And we need to put one of these thin rings on either side of it. The second ring has two pieces of paint on it, and they want that to the right hand side. And then the top ring has one little bit of paint. They also want that on the right hand side. And then we end up with three gaps, and they want the gaps spread out 120 degrees. So we have one here, and one here. And we have our arrow pointing to the mag side, so we're good there. Alrighty. Oh, I wanted to say before I put that in, when that crankshaft seized on that bearing, it was in rough shape. So I took it to a machine shop and I had them press a new bearing in there. I wasn't very happy with the polishing job I was able to get. That turns a lot better. That's what was seized before. That assembly lube is nice and sticky, so it will stay on there until we get it for the first start. Now, this little hole here goes to the right. And that dipper, it can't go on any other way than that curved side right there. Has to go right in there against it. And there's a round piece right here that goes on the back to allow clearance. Alright, I'm going to go get my torque wrench. We'll do each one up till 60. And then we'll go up to 100. These are our tappets. A little lube on those. That will hold them in. There's our little timing mark right there. A little bit of lube on these. So this is the timing mark, and it lines up right there with that, so we're good there. I forgot to replace this seal, and I can't find my seal puller. So I am going to gently try to pull that out. I don't want to pick it up. Well, I guess I can. There's a ridge right there that I'm going to drive this down to, so you can't drive it too far, so that's there. I think we're good there. Have a new gasket. I wanted to point this out because I made a mistake. When I was tearing it apart, I don't know what I was thinking, but I looked down just as I was pulling the cam gear out, and I noticed that these two dots weren't lined up. And of course, it has to go around a couple times to line up, so we were okay. Amazing when things are new and clean, how easy they go on. I had to beat that. It's so hard to get it off. I'm not supposed to be in there. Pay more attention to what I'm doing here. Oh, I was going to clean that one up a little bit. Just clean that up a little bit. I know it's quicker to use a impact, but I just don't like the feel of an impact unless I have to. This thing here, I'm 100% sure it's not accurate, but we'll take it up to 100. This is all I have, so someday I'll buy a better one. Well, I was going to bring it up to 60 first. And then I'll bring them up to 100. Okay, I'm going to go up to 150. Okay, now we'll go to 200. All right, I'm just going to double check them, make sure I didn't miss any. All right, I think I got them all. I'll check the video to make sure, and if I don't have them all, I'll come back. So the next thing I'm going to do is put some oil in there. I have to go get the manual and find out what it takes for oil. I don't see anywhere on the side what it takes for oil. I checked my manual and it said either 5W30 or 10W30 and 800 mils. So this is 10W30. All right, we'll leave it there tonight. My thumb should be good and black tomorrow by putting that circlip in. Hurts like heck. I think we better cut the video right here. It's getting pretty long.